My father and I, whenever I would go back to college or something or leave and not see him for a while, we'd always say, have fun storming the castle, back to each other.
Hello and welcome to Expected Own Goals, Rodents of Unusual Size, and also Jessica Berman edition. I am your host, Eric Morgan.
And I am Evan Davis. We are doing, as is customary at the end of the year, we're going to be doing our best 11s of 2025, as well as catch up on some news and notes from the past few days. Where to start? Do we start with all the goalkeeper action going on?
No. Let's just do the thing that everyone demands of us. Let's talk Trinity Rodman and what's happened, and then we'll go to some signings. Because
there's sort of news, but also kind of not news yet. There is something that is on the table.
Yeah,
we don't really have the full specifics of what that's actually going to look like. We have some specifics. It is something that the union now needs to review and approve on their end. But long story short, middle of last week, the league proposed a mechanism through which Trinity Rodman would be able to stay in the NWSL by allowing teams to spend a certain amount of money over the salary cap. And that is where the simple part of it ends.
Yeah, it's not exactly clear yet how much, though the money seems to be up to $1 million, which I think is kind of a non-starter. And also, it's up to $1 million over the cap, how many players it's dispersed, what defines these special players.
We've got
all of this we'll report on when we get better clarity.
There is some information there. As you mentioned, what seems to be the case is there is going to be up to $1 million available to teams to spend over the cap. What separates it from other forms of allocation money or like a classic designated player rule, as we see in MLS, is that money is only able to be spent on certain kinds of players.
Yeah, which have yet to be defined, but Trinity Rodman apparently is one of.
And there have been hints, but no confirmations about what that might mean. It is suggested that it's going to be what they're calling high-impact players. In other words, global elite players who are going to command very, very high salaries from across the world will be eligible. But like how one defines high-impact player, there have been some suggestions that it could come down to,
Ballon d'Or
shortlists, an independent media, vote.
The Guardian's Garbage 100.
Or something like it. National team caps is another proposed concept. We don't know exactly what is in the league's proposal. It seems like we're getting different information that like all of the things I just mentioned might be there, but we don't know for sure which ones are there. And every single one has some pretty serious drawbacks.
It just feels like a unique and new way to discriminate. And I don't know how the discrimination is going to be broken down just yet. But it does feel like whatever answer comes out of however they're going to try to define high-impact player is going to be problematic.
And it's very complicated also on the financial side because up to $1 million over the cap looks pretty good now, but...
It looks good maybe not even now.
But Yael Everbush-West, when we talked to her before the championship, said no on certain terms. Like, how do we avoid having this be a problem every 2 years, no matter what the league and the union try to figure out to adjust the salary cap with? And yeah, I don't think that the market is going to be able to bear a simple $1 million overage, especially when you factor in the ways in which it's calculated against your cap hit, like what percentage of that goes. People have described it as allocation money. It was pointed out to us that it's really more like targeted allocation money, which is a mechanism in MLS, which is allocation money but used for a very specific purpose.
Obviously, if it turns out we are dealing with something that looks a lot like the financial mechanisms in MLS, we have lots of people at American Soccer Analysis that we can bring on and talk about this.
Yes. What is annoying is that there were just so many simpler and cleaner and probably more long-term sustainable ways to do this.
Like just raising the cap.
Number one, just raise the goddamn cap. Number two, designated player rule.
Also has problems.
Has its problems, but at the very least it says, all right, spend whatever money you want ownership on X number of players, and it can be any players you want to be to fill those slots, i.e., you fall on your own sword with how you use those DP allocations. It can't just be that you get to pick from like the candy corn bowl of the 20 best, So it still kind of hamstrings front offices, I think, to an unnecessary degree, and just causes so many more loops. It's as they always are. Shea Butter FC was incredibly on point with, like, if it comes down to something like Ballon d'Or shortlists, well, guess what an overwhelming majority of Ballon d'Or shortlists look like?
Pretty fucking white.
Pretty fucking white. And why is that? It's because media, coaches, players, and other people inside the business are choosing those short lists. And guess what? Those kinds of people have internal biases.
I think the problem I have with the idea of a high impact player is that it is nebulous and therefore able to, like, if you want to just say each team is allowed to determine whatever the fuck that means and spend their money on however the fuck they want to, I'm actually more inclined toward that direction, because at least the team knows a thing.
Well, I actually have an even better idea than that. It still involves...
Is it called raising the cap?
No, it involves, like, let's just say for the sake of argument that we're not going to get around this high impact player targeted allocation money sort of structure. What I would propose is that the union and the league get together and create a fund to pay American Soccer Analysis to build a high impact player model so that we can use our data to determine which players across the world would fall into the high impact player category.
Yeah, what's nice about that is the data doesn't know anything about the race or the orientation, or it really doesn't know anything other than a name and what they did on the field.
That's exactly right. And there is no more trusted source for women's soccer data in this country than American Soccer Analysis. So if you're not reading it already,
we love them. Yeah.
If you're not reading ASA already, do so. If you're not listening to the ASA show, the men's version of American Soccer Analysis podcasting universe, you should be listening to it. And you should be ingesting every single piece of data that they put out, including VizHub, which is the best data viz you will find.
Cat Bush,
shout out. So, in other words, hire us, NWSL.
Or if you're not going to do that, give us something give us a set of terms to describe whatever stupid financial machinations you're coming up with to avoid just paying people fairly. Just put it on a one sheet. Just make it clear enough that it exists on a one sheet.
Yeah. I still think you should hire us.
Yeah, fine. But I also think that
it's just so annoying because, like, this is getting rammed through kind of fast.
Yeah, by the way, this is all being handled in the worst possible way. And
I think the league thinks that, like, if they present something now, then the union will be backed into a corner to just say yes, because it's the union who are upset with the way that the league is handling this, which is, again, classic management strategy when it comes to labor fights. That you present something and say, hey, we're doing what you want. We're showing you that we are solutions based, when in fact what you're showing is something that is potentially impossible to manage or impossible to accept by any good faith measure.
If I am Megan Burke and the players union, I am very seriously considering rejecting whatever this thing is that they send across.
At the very least,
because I think they have a great chance to win their grievances.
Right, which we will know the next step in that process by the end of the week, when we know if the league sustains or rejects the union's grievances. So we'll get some clarity on that by the end of the week.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention was the Democratic Women's Caucus
inside
stepped in
the U.S. House of Representatives.
Yeah, inside the U.S. House of Representatives, stepped in this week to just say, hey, NWSL, we know you've had some problems in the past. What the fuck's going on this time?
Yeah. In other words, you need to obey and adhere to the terms of a collectively bargained labor agreement, which
is their purview. Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like you're doing that.
Yeah.
So get your shit together, or we're going to be knocking on the door.
Yeah.
I don't know how far that gets in a, Trump Republican controlled Congress, but at least you got to rattle the cage.
It's fair enough. All right, let's move on and talk actual things that have occurred in the league. Let's talk goalkeeper signings.
Alyssa Nair signs a 1-year deal with Chicago. Almost immediately after that, Katie Lund signs a 3-year deal with Chicago.
I think Alyssa Nair has earned the right to re-up every year that she wants to continue playing, and clearly she made the decision in this offseason to re-up and continue playing. I think that other teams might retire her. I think Chicago has no choice. They've dug their own grave deep enough here that if Alyssa Nair wants to come back, they kind of need to bring her back.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what Alyssa Nair's the thinking inside of her head is. There were some rumors about the way that her last contract got handled by Chicago didn't seem like it painted Chicago in a great light. My hunch might be that they are wanting to create a succession plan, and they're not sure if Lund's going to be 100% healthy for the start of the season.
Not the worst assumption, to be fair.
Yeah. And then if you were to paint Richard Foyt's and co. in the best possible light, maybe they
Not a
would,
thing we've always done.
not a thing you generally should do. I wonder if maybe they said to Nair, like, listen, you're going into your age 38 season. The writing's on the wall here. Let's pay you a seriously overmarket deal as a make good, just to have you either as the number one to start the year or to be a backup, a plug and play backup in case anything weird happens with Lund and her hip recovery. Mm-hmm. This is all speculation. We have absolutely no idea the whys and the wherefores, but a 1-year deal does suggest to me that
it's fine. It's a fine length.
Yeah. And also that this, especially in pairing with the Lund deal, these deals were probably created in tandem with some idea of how to best phase Nair out and bring Lund in.
The Lund signing is an interesting one because I think 3 years ago we would have agreed this is one of the best keepers, if not the best keeper in the league.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, it's okay, some slight decline is occurring. And over the last 2 years, it's been unclear exactly how healthy she's been, but she's been a diminished version of herself as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, and it seems like it might be utterly health driven, that she was doing a lot of playing in 2024 and obviously in the first few games of 2025 playing with a bulky hip and not either taking herself out of the game or the coaches telling her to stay in the game, whatever. This is now, I think, an expression of faith that probably the player of 2022 and 2023 is still in there, and now that she's had nearly a year to convalesce, that she can get back on her feet. I mean, it's only her age 29 season.
Yeah, that's why I feel good about this. We often are quite critical about Chicago signings. I think in this particular instance, a goalkeeper who, when healthy, was one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league, as a pure shot stopper.
Yeah.
Should not have lost any of those abilities. And if the medical staff basically says she can come back to what she was in her age 26 and 27 seasons, you should feel great about her ability to recover that in her age 29, 30, 31 seasons.
Yeah, for sure.
Just given goalkeeping aging curves.
Yeah.
So if this is not some sort of degenerative problem, which it doesn't seem like it is, I think Katie Lund's, particularly for the system Chicago has been playing, i.e. inviting a lot of shots, I think Katie Lund's a really good signing.
She is an excellent system fit.
Yeah.
No question.
If that system is allow a lot of opposition attack, Katie Lund is well suited.
Yeah. And listen, I mean, Nair, by the advanced metrics, however much stock you want to put in that, was the second worst shot stopper in the NWSL. So moving from that to potentially a fully healthy and fully recovered Katie Lund could really make a difference. Now, who was the worst shot stopper in the league last year?
Boston Legacy's Casey Murphy.
Yeah. It has been the chatter for the last several weeks.
Worst kept secret in the league.
That Casey Murphy was going to be signing with Boston in her free agency, and indeed she did. 4-year deal with a mutual option for a 5th year, $1.5 million per reporting by Jeff Kassouf in ESPN. It has been framed as one of the largest contracts for a goalkeeper in NWSL history. I feel pretty comfortable in saying either by total guaranteed money or by average annual value of almost $400,000 a year, this is the largest goalkeeper's contract in league history.
I think there aren't a lot of data-based arguments one can make to say this was a great signing.
Well, let's actually do some live data checking on this very question.
Everyone's favorite.
Because we talk a lot about how shot stopping in short samples can be kind of tricky to determine true talent because it takes actually a pretty large sample of shots to measure sort of a baseline of talent. And by that point, because it's multiple years, you're probably moving on from that true talent point anyway. So if you want to say that 2025 was the anomaly for Casey Murphy, that argument could bear some fruit.
We talked about this with Jill Lloyden.
Yeah.
There are extenuating circumstances surrounding Casey Murphy's final year at the North Carolina Courage that I think really might affect the performance, particularly our ability to read a small sample in that performance. She made a handful of really critical errors that did not help her here. She also, I think, had the emotional weight of basically being told she was not going to be a part of the national team setup moving forward, affecting her.
And then
also,
trying to figure out how to get herself back into that mix.
Yeah, there was a sort of undue amount of pressure. And Casey Murphy, to Boston's credit, if you were going to place a bet on a player who at least once had very high highs in her career, she did once have very high highs in her career.
Yeah. And so if you look at the past 3 seasons of shot stopping data by ASA's post-shot XG model, Murphy nets out as basically like an average shot stopper. The shots that she should be stopping, she is stopping, and the ones that she should be letting go, she's letting go. She doesn't seem to be adding extra value. And to give you context of like who's on the list going back to 2023, minimum 3,000 minutes played. Ann-Katrin Berger's at the top of the list, followed by Claudia Dickey, Mandy McGlynn, Anna Morehouse, Jane Campbell, and Aubrey Kingsbury. Those are the players above Murphy. Guess who is in the U.S. women's national team goalkeeping poll at the present moment?
A lot of them who qualify, so not Ann-Katrin Berger, but a lot of them who who are American.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dickey, of the ones in the league who are American.
Dickey, McGlynn.
They are number 2 and number 3 on that list.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's still an overpay.
I think it's an overpay. I also think, again,
she's going to enter age 30 season. Now, goalkeepers, age curves are a gentler slope than other positions, but it is still notable to say she just had her worst shot-stopping season of her career. She's about to turn 30, and if you look at multiple seasons worth of information where maybe there's something comparable in the true talent, she's netting out as like a league average shot stopper. For almost $400,000 a year, that feels like a lot.
Again, I think the argument in favor is we take out the last season as a psychologically tumultuous time and a team that was going through its own set of problems. And you go back and you just take a look at the 2 prior seasons beyond that, and you start looking at a better goalkeeper. And then you make the argument that there's so much economic uncertainty about what the cap will look like that signing players to longer term contracts may end up having a lot of value, and having them locked in may end up having a lot of value here.
No, I mean,
and so I think that is Boston, who I know is attempting to take an analytical look at how they roster build, may feel like if she is the version, if she's 2024 Casey Murphy, and we have her secured through 2029 or even 2030, if she takes that player option, we may end up at the back end of this deal having a steal of a keeper who still has a couple good seasons beyond the end of her contract.
Yeah. And again, if you take 2025 out, you look at 2023, 2024, all of a sudden it's only McGlynn and Morehouse and Berger ahead of her on the list. So,
and that starts getting you closer to that pay point.
Right. But with that last season folded in and, with her approaching that age, it's just tough to say that it's money well spent, except for, I think, a pretty good point, which we talked about last week surrounding like a lot of the Robin contract stuff and other contracts, like because this is moving so quickly, the way that the pay scale for women's players is changing, maybe locking in $375,000 a year for 2029 is going to look pretty affordable, especially when the scarcity of the skill set can sometimes mean that goalkeeper prices could climb. So, yeah, maybe that is just having the security of that position nailed down is wise.
Yeah, we talked about it with Ali Schlegel, that contract could end up looking really good.
Right.
Again, I think right now, if you are a team in the NWSL and you're looking at the uncertainty around you, the ability to lock up a player for a number of years at something that at this time might look like a mild overpay and will end up being team friendly.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams are looking toward that, and I think Boston is probably one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if even mild overpay. Like, this feels like a pretty significant overpay.
This, I think, we think is a significant overpay.
Yeah.
That said, best of luck to Casey Murphy.
Hey, you just got your bag, man.
Yeah.
So,
like, bully for you. We're going to move on and talk. The thing that we came here to do today, finally talk about some actual soccer. And by that, I mean, Evan and I are going to draft our best 11s of the NWSL season and then come to a conclusion about the xOG best 11. We're going to do a traditional draft form like we often do so that we can talk about more players. And then we're going to try to agree upon what we think the best 11 using a pretty data-based approach looks like. So, Evan.
First of all, as a preamble, I will say that when you look at the best 11 and second 11 that was announced by the league, it's kind of hard to argue with it.
Yeah, I think the league did a really good job.
It's not, I mean, we say the league, but like it's the voting of the fans, the players, coaches, and the media. Like, I think they basically, those 22 players, I would maybe swap out a very, very small handful.
You're going to hear from us. Yeah. Probably a lot of names that the league already recognized. And this is not always how that goes.
Yeah.
We are not always blessed with a league that puts together a best of list that has players that we also think the data backs up.
Yeah.
This year, it was very encouraging to see the data aligning with a lot of other people's eye tests.
Especially at the fullback position. Yeah, I don't know why that one really pops out to me.
Yeah.
Because usually people are just like, well, who's a really good crosser? Who's like a really good attacking fullback? And there are good attacking fullbacks among those four names, but also to like recognize the defensive contributions of players like Avery Patterson and Haley Mace and Izzy Rodriguez for that matter. Like it stands out. You know, like it was well done, everybody who voted.
Yeah, by the way, well done. We often don't give enough flowers, but well done to everyone who voted. I think you basically got a lot of this right. That said, we're going to go into this. I'm sure that as is always the case, there are players that are left out of these conversations.
Yeah.
And the fun part of this is normally when we do these kinds of drafts, there's some sort of limitation. We have no such limitations today. Evan 2 years ago drafted 5 Racing Louisville players for his best 11.
Sure did.
And you know what? If he wants to do that again, he's welcome to.
It's unlikely.
So the way we're going to do this is pretty traditional snake style. I'll pick first. Evan will take 2, 3. I'll take 4, 5, and therefore and onward.
Yep.
So I feel really good starting off and saying I'm taking 1 Temwa Chawinga.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
League MVP, reigning 2-time league MVP.
Reigning 2-time Golden Boot champ.
Yep. Temwa Chawinga as the most consequential and therefore the best player in the league and my number 1 overall pick for my best 11.
I don't think there's really much to say here. She is the best. She is the best attacker probably since Sam Kerr in terms of production. Just the 2 seasons that she has put up. I don't really remember a 2-season run quite like this. Even when like Kerr and Linby and Dolo were really in their pomp in the 2017 to 2019 window, or even Sophia Wilson.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, Sophia Wilson is probably as close as it gets.
Yeah, Temwa Chawinga has put up 2 of the greatest seasons. 2024 was the greatest season in NWSL history.
I think 2025 is the second greatest.
Yeah, exactly. So Temwa Chawinga, there are lots of big names. Wilson and Kerr and Biandolo, and Chawinga stands above the rest. So number 1, Temwa Chawinga.
Oh, I am so sorry. Temwa Chawinga in 2025 is the 3rd greatest season of all time.
After Barbara Banda
in 2024.
Yeah. All right, Evan.
Let's see. So Chawinga's off the board. And
in one of the easiest picks I've ever made.
It is tricky here because a couple of players I could take, but for questions about playing time. So are we setting a minutes threshold here?
I'm gonna let you pick as you see fit.
Okay.
And make arguments. I think we can really argue about the minutes threshold when we do our combined. But if you want to take somebody who has a lower minutes threshold, but you thought was like unstoppable in the minutes that they played, I'm fine with even players who may have been transferred during the season ending up on this best 11, because I think what you did in the minutes available to you does matter.
Sure. You know what? It's close enough that I'm going to sidestep the problem altogether and take as my striker 1 Gift Monday of the Washington Spirit.
It's a really good pick. Gift Monday may have been the newcomer of the year into this league. She didn't put up Chawinga or Banda 2024 level numbers, but she got kind of close. And I think she's a classic, like the eye test also confirms, very good striker.
Yeah. And what a find a player who, while in the Nigerian system, was not necessarily one that you could assume was going to explode at this level, and basically did that from the moment she showed up. I mean, it's a testament to just how much Washington, when they lost what seemed to be a pretty key attacker, just always found somebody else to take their place.
Agreed.
And has been doing that for the last 2 years.
Yeah, again, Washington, the squad construction is unbelievable. And the discovery of Gift Monday, who came from Tenerife, not a place that, we associate with like finding the best, and has basically played herself into, as far as I'm concerned, she's like a top 10 striker in the world at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting argument. I mean, she's in the conversation.
Yeah, she was not in the conversation. She's certainly in the conversation now.
I mean, who else is there? I mean, it's a healthy Sam Kerr, it's Wilson, it's
Bunny Shaw.
I
mean, Eva Payor,
Eva Payor and
Barbara Banda,
Marie-Antoinette Katoto.
But we start getting in, Katsidiatu Diani.
More of a winger, but
but we start getting into are they a winger? Are they I mean, she's right there.
Yeah, no, as far as true center forwards go, there weren't too many better last year.
Yep. All right. You've got another pick.
And I am going to use it on a winger, one Michelle Cooper of the Kansas City Current.
That is also a good pick as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. The minutes threshold when we get to our unified list might be worth debating over, because she lost several games beginning of the year due to injury, so she only finished with fewer than 1,400 on the season. By my personal methodology, I take basically like 50 minutes, which, 45 minutes of normal time plus 5 minutes of stoppage, and multiply that by the number of games in the season. And I kind of set that as my minutes threshold when I look at, especially at rate stats. Mm-hmm. And for a 26-game season, that's 1,300 minutes. Mm-hmm. So she clears that for me. So I'm going to take her.
No notes. Great pick. It probably would not have gotten back to you, which I think is kind of an important thing when doing these.
Player that, again, I mean, we've said it a bunch over the last year and a half or so. Just a player who's finally found herself and is now seems like she's undroppable. And given the age stuff that like certain areas of the field Kansas City is going to be dealing with in the coming years, got no problems with her on that front.
One of the true rising stars of women's soccer in the U.S. and globally.
Yeah.
All right. So now I have two picks. I think that these are really straightforward for me. These are just net G plus monsters. And I will finish out my forward line with them. They are Trinity Rodman of contract note, and probably deserves mention here. There is a reason that Trinity Rodman right now is
commanding the kind of attention.
Yeah, he's commanding one of the biggest contracts in world history. She put up a top 20 all-time NWSL season last year while only playing about 1,100 minutes.
Yeah.
And put up a 0.25 position-weighted net G+. 0.25 is only behind Barbara Banda and Temwa Chewinga. And I think that Rodman actually offers you just as much as both of those players. Maybe not all the way to Chewinga, but the upside, if Cooper is another person who you can look forward to the future with, Rodman is both an incredibly seasoned veteran and still younger than Croy Bethune. And that to me is insane.
Yeah.
So Trinity Rodman is a really, really straightforward, like for my money, one of the two best or three best wingers in the league. And maybe the best if she goes the full distance and can play every minute. Yeah. It's really just a health issue.
Yeah, I mean, given the age and given the amount of playing time she's already put in, and given the amount of production for club and country she has demonstrated, it's Mike Trout levels. It's like Mike Trout in 2012, 2013. Yeah. And actually, I'm walking into something I didn't even start this comparison with. Like, it's even more Trout in those years because Trout was a five-tool all-around elite player in every single one of those tools. And who scores, who creates, who defends, who helps progression, who does everything in the way that Rodman does.
No,
very few players.
She is fully deserving of the contract Jessica Berman just vetoed.
Yeah.
Like that's as simple as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
She's an all-timer, or on her way to being an all-timer.
Yeah.
And my second pick, I'm going to finish out my forward line and just take Barbara Banda, because Barbara Banda, who played 1,400 minutes, had significant drop-off this year and was still the second best player in the league.
Yep.
Like that, I cannot describe. She won a title last year as the talisman of a team, came back, everyone knew how to play her, and she was still this productive.
Yeah.
Barbara Banda is a ridiculous talent, and we were robbed of her in the postseason this year. We were all poorer for her getting injured and missing the rest of this season.
Yeah, I mean, if you go by rate, I mean, she scored half a non-penalty goal per game, basically, and only Chewinga and Gift Monday had a higher scoring rate than her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, with the...
By the way, I will put my front three against any team in the world of Chewinga, Rodman, Banda. And I say to you, try to stop. Try to stop
terrifying.
That.
And also, it's a perfectly balanced, because Chewinga on the left, Banda through the middle, Rodman on the right. Love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Thanks for letting me have that, Evan. Your turn.
Well, I get, I think we talked about it maybe during our awards conversation. Like, the fact that Banda didn't finish the season is holding it back in my brain of her qualifying for some of this stuff. Whereas, like, Rodman, even though she played 400 fewer minutes, is less of a psychological hurdle for me to jump because she finished the year and was in the playoffs.
Yeah, pretty classic recency. Yeah,
it's just totally recency bias. I'll cop to that. I need a forward.
You can go anywhere.
Yeah, no, I know. You want to... It's much more difficult to find attackers that separate themselves from the pack. There are far fewer of them. So I think we both have the same strategy in mind of trying to grab our attacking weapons first.
You can wait. This is the joy you've been offered, because I can't take another striker.
That's true.
So you actually have the advantage of being able to take two non-striker positions and just hold out for whatever you want.
Sure.
You don't have to.
It's a fair cop. Okay, so at attacking midfielder, I am going to take Rose Lavelle of Gotham FC.
Heard of her.
Yeah.
Go
Who
on.
had a really special season for a couple of reasons. I mean, the part that wasn't special is the thing that happens all the time, which is that she missed a bunch of time for injury. So she played fewer than 1,200 minutes in the regular season. But the ways in which she was deployed was kind of a stroke of genius, in that we didn't know. We saw how neither Sean Nahas nor Nathan Thackeray could ever figure out how to get Jaden Shaw, Ashley Sanchez, and Monica Matsukuo working on the same field. And Juan Carlos Amoros managed to get Jaden Shaw, Jalen Howell, and Rose Lavelle on the field at the same time. And the way that he did it was to allow for Lavelle, instead of being a number 10, basically turned her into a free 8. Asked her to activate what has always been a very grafty defensive profile and really lean into that by pushing her a little bit further back on the field without losing any of the ability to receive, dribble, and break lines that we know Rose Lavelle can do.
By the way, I would have totally accepted you not using an attacking midfield slot on Rose Lavelle. Such was the way she was positioned this year.
Yeah.
You could have used one of your two other midfield slots on her, because I think what really stands out for me is the defensive net G+, that is 0.06. She was just so good on both sides of the ball. And I think that we've been pushing this narrative for a long time. She really doesn't get the defensive credit she deserves for what she does in, like, I think
people in the know make sure to highlight that, but that's never what's going to make the highlight real.
Let's highlight it again.
Yeah. And, some of that value is in off-ball defending, and, like, everybody on Gotham had really strong off-ball defending this year, so you do have to say, like, teammates and system probably play a little bit into that, but to be very solidly above average as a midfielder in terms of on-ball defending tells you that it's not all, like, last-ditch goal line clearances that center backs usually get to rack up their value from. And also, they had the majority of possession, so it's not that a volume of opportunity is jacking that up either. And though I've marked her as sort of an attacking mid/central mid, The positional average against which this is being measured is as a central midfielder, not an attacking midfielder. And that barrier, that average line for defensive performance is higher, as you would expect. So the fact that she's overperforming that so solidly really tells you just how much of a contributor she was to Gotham's defensive setup, and also was still getting forward and receiving between the lines and breaking lines and doing everything that you expect of her. The passing wasn't quite there, but it didn't matter because she was also getting herself into good positions to either feed the next pass or to dribble and shoot. And I mean, come on, it's Rose goddamn Lavelle. Yeah, and she's 30 years old doing this.
Yeah, again, no argument for me on this. What an incredible season she put together. And you just have to hope that she can maintain this level of health, or greater than this level of health moving forward.
So my next pick is going to be my left back, Izzy Rodriguez.
That one you poached from me. It's a really good pick. Sing the ballad of Izzy Rodriguez.
She's a perfect all-round fullback. Like, she played Kansas City's defensive system to perfection. She was, I think, the best passing fullback in the league, or at least in the top 3 or 4.
I think you can say that she was, even if the numbers might put her in a cluster, the kind of passing she does, she is the best at.
Yeah. Like, she is now sort of inherited Carson Pickett's mantle as the one fullback who will always be creating chances and is so defensively disciplined that you never have to worry about her getting trapped on an island too high up the field.
Yeah, she's a volume chance creator. She is very, very good at already having her head up before the ball comes to her and knowing where that long diagonal, that incisive forward pass is going.
Yeah.
We were ahead. She's the engine behind why so much of what worked in Kansas City worked.
Yeah, and like, I think we were maybe ahead of the curve on her breaking out as a talent over the last couple of years, but in 2025, the world caught up and she was named to the best 11. She was a finalist for Defender of the Year, and she got a U.S. women's national team call up. Sadly, the one new player, it seems that Emma Hayes called in and didn't get capped, but that's okay. The fact that she's getting
more minutes for Izzy.
Yeah, the fact that she's getting recognized, I think, is wonderful, and she's going to go into her age 27 season. So there is more joy yet to emerge from Izzy Rodriguez.
Really, really good pick.
Yeah,
I'm going to take Haley Mace, which is literally the other side of the Kansas City defense. But also, Haley Mace, also worthy of being right there with Izzy Rodriguez. Haley Mace, more positionally flexible than Izzy Rodriguez, and the best in terms of net G plus per positional average defender on Kansas City this year.
Yeah, and that makes sense because Kansas City liked not having the ball, so there's a bit more volume of opportunity, and she was the fullback asked to stay low, pinch in, and become part of the rest defense, which means you're going to face a little bit more action when things break down in the final third for Kansas City. But because she was so good, especially lined up alongside those center backs, that Kansas City, as we've mentioned before, had the best box defending in the entire league. It wasn't actually that close.
Yeah.
And yeah, Mace was a massive, massive part of that. As a fullback, to be .04 on your on-ball defending per 96 minutes above your positional average is pretty wild.
Yeah, the passing is excellent. The on-ball defense is excellent. There kind of just isn't a part of Haley Mace's game this season that wasn't high functioning.
Yeah,
that wasn't elite.
Yeah, the one thing is that, whereas Izzy Rodriguez sometimes was the odd player out in the 11 last year,
Haley Mace was sometimes the odd one out here.
Sometimes the odd player out to get Ellie Wheeler playing time. So less than 1,800 minutes for Mace. But I mean, she could not have done much better in those less than 1,800 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So she's a clear pick for me, and then I'm going to go and take Sam Coffey as well here. Again, I think at this point in the game, it's really about filling out spots that are a little less heralded. Sam Coffey, we talk about the greatness of Sam Coffey all the goddamn time. She, I think, was a very solid midfielder of the year for both of us. She does everything well. She got handed the keys to the car in Portland this year.
We talked a lot about how Portland covered the gaps on the forward line thanks to all the injuries and managed to find a lot of production there. But it's Coffey and Olivia Moultrie that actually allowed that team to do what it did.
Yeah, they carried so much water for the rest of the Portland Thorns and are a big reason why, even if it's an overperformance, Portland finished 3rd and not 11th.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable Coffey's ability to contribute both in terms of how she covers space defensively and how she filters runners in directions that are advantageous to the Portland defense. As well as her ability to interrupt, win the ball, and immediately play it forward. Yeah. She is one of the best two-way midfielders in the world, if not the best at this point, right there. So no questions for me. Sam Coffey, if I'm picking a defensive midfielder this season, is my pick. Evan, it is your turn.
Yeah. So let's see. I've got a fullback. I am going to take Kayla Sharples.
Unsurprising.
I mean, an interesting player in that, did she rack up a ton of value through off-ball defensive work that her teammates were helping her along with?
Almost certainly yes.
I'm not sure. I feel like in her case, a lot of that work did get marshaled by her. I mean, don't forget, like, she had multiple center back partners rotating in and out next to her the whole season.
She was the stabilizing force.
Yeah, Lorena, first-time goalkeeper in the NWSL, had a great season, but was commanding her area. Her carrying tool, no, although she was pretty good in that respect. Your fullbacks were both great. Your defensive midfielders were both great. I think, though, I do have to ask, at some point, we do have to start assigning some measure of individual skill. Like, it can be one thing to say that, like, oh, everybody was benefiting from their teammates. Well, then all of a sudden, if all 5 of those or all 6 of those defensive players are benefiting from their teammates, well, all those teammates have to have been contributing something there, you know? And I don't know. I feel like Sharples really was the standout on that back line at the end of the day.
My only pushback on that is this is a year unlike any other year Kayla Sharples has had as a defender.
I don't disagree.
And so that gives me just a little bit of pause, but also she is almost certainly the hub of the best defense, and one of the best defenses the league has ever seen.
By the way, and it should be noted that she's been a pretty excellent off-ball defender throughout her career.
Yep.
And she's played, again, a lot of different teams, a lot of different setups. She always is contributing off the ball. So that, I think, also, like, shaves a little bit of the trepidation off. Because also,
there was no way she wasn't making one of our teams.
Yeah. But it should, but you're also right to note that, like, most of that value is coming from off-ball defending. So if you want to put that as an asterisk, you can, given that she was probably our defender of the year.
By the way, it's the asterisk for me between clearly the defender of the year and probably the defender of the year.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big asterisk.
Yeah. I mean, her and Izzy Rodriguez are the only 2 on the back line that, like, saw full seasons, like, from wire to wire. So I'm giving it to her.
Hell yeah. All right, who's your next pick?
I'm going to go goalkeeper next, and I am going to take Lorena.
Ooh. It's so funny. I was already typing in Claudia Dickey, but go on with Lorena because I think Lorena also had a great season.
Yeah, and I think maybe the one thing that edges it, Claudia Dickey would have been my goalkeeper of the year vote because the most important thing that you can do for your team is to stop shots. And Dickey and Lorena were basically tied on that front, and Dickey just faced more shots and more difficult shots. The reason I'm giving the edge to Lorena is because if you want to take something away from the Kansas City back line in terms of their off-ball defending, is like Lorena did a really good job of commanding her area, and that is value that kind of only 1 or 2 other keepers had, and they didn't have the shot-stopping season that she had. So she wasn't really much of a passer, but Kansas City also wasn't asking her to do that. And the things that they were asking her to do, she did exceptionally, whereas Dickey was at best neutral on her passing, was pretty bad on her controlling of the area. And we saw that at times cost Seattle.
Sure.
So for me, it's Lorena.
Yeah. The nice thing about goalkeeper of the year for us in this particular instance is there kind of are 2. And you were going to get one, and I was going to get one. And if we were drafting with 5 people, there would be a drop off. But, you know, as good as someone like Jordan Bloomer was, it really is just between Dickie and Lorena. Yeah. And that's just a question of what you wanted out of your goalkeeper this year.
And what I'm doing is sort of testing my arguments for when we actually have to consolidate these lists at the end of the episode. So, yeah, for me, it's Lorena, and I'm sure it's going to be Dickie for you.
It sure is, but I'll wait on that pick because I don't need to make it. My next pick is going to be, and it's so close, my next pick is going to be Hanna Lundqvist at fullback.
Late of this parish,
and it's really sad. So likely on her way to Manchester United. Hanna Lundqvist had herself a just wire-to-wire elite fullback season.
Yeah.
One of the best fullback seasons by a player who is still like coming into her prime, probably in the world. She played just under 2,400 minutes. She put up a net G plus weighted by positional average, 0.06. It's very good. The only part of her game that I think she really gets dinged for is passing, and she's neutral at that.
Yeah.
And I think the eye test says she was asked to not necessarily always make the most aggressive passes in San Diego.
Yeah.
And proved to be quite good at that. Yeah. On ball's very good. Off ball's very good.
Yeah.
She's very good. Hanna Lundqvist, I'm a little bummed that I didn't get to pick a different fullback, but I think for fullbacks that like didn't make the NWSL's list were oversights. This is right up there with the biggest oversights that happened.
Yeah, that's probably fair. And as you mentioned, like given the age, I mean, it's Ellie Carpenter-esque when Carpenter was coming into the NWSL at the age of 18 and really making a show of herself. So, wishing nothing but the best for Hanna Lundqvist. And if she does end up at Manchester United, that solves a bunch of problems that have
good work, Carlin.
Yeah, it solves a bunch of problems that have been nagging on the United backline for a bunch of years.
Yeah. So Hanna Lundqvist is definitely my picker as my other fullback. And then I have other midfielders available to me. I think I'm doing this, and I think you're going to hate me for it. I'm taking and making the U.S. women's national team's double pivot, basically. And I'm taking Claire Hutton as my other midfielder.
I left her out there to be taken.
Yeah, Claire Hutton, everything that we talked about with Sam Coffey is also crazily true of Claire Hutton. They play slightly different positions, but Claire Hutton is doing stuff as a teenager that blows my absolute mind. She, from day one, came into this league and was one of the most solid midfielders in the league. And she only continues to pick up and add little things to her game that take her from being someone that other teammates were supporting to being someone that other teammates lean on. And I think that's sort of the story of her season this year.
Yeah.
She
turns 20 in a month.
Yeah. Sorry, what? Yeah. She's just...
Well, and also
she's a generational talent.
Yeah, and when you listen to her on mic, whenever she does like a halftime or a post game interview, it is very clear how cerebral, thoughtful, and composed she is in ways that like most players her age are not. And as we have always said, playing at a position that you just have no right to be this good at this age.
It's true. It's just so true, and. I think it's really hard to go and look at a center midfielder and go past the three that we've already listed.
Yeah.
And sort of say someone else was decidedly better. So for me, Claire Hutton is the clear choice here.
I'm going to take the other central mid who, while not superior to Hutton or Coffey, was at least their equal, and that's Narumi Mira, who admittedly did lose her starting spot by the end of the year to Lacey Santos because Santos had upped her defensive game so much, and therefore Adrián González wasn't really losing anything by having her on the field with Croy Bethune. Narumi really did produce defensively, especially in a part of the season when things were not going so great defensively for Washington, both on and off the ball. Narumi was really showing up and covering holes that allowed Hal Hirschfeld to be Hal Hirschfeld. So I think that Narumi deserves a shout here.
This is the first player that I'm a little surprised by, but I think just to look at the numbers, and you will obviously have beside my head right now a very beautiful radar that will speak to the quality of Narumi Mira.
Well,
I think that's important.
What also it speaks to is something that you've mentioned, which is like, this is an area of the field where you get the least amount of spread in talent, because when something happens in the middle of the field, because remember, the way that G Plus is built is it evaluates what you did, not only its success or failure, but also where it falls in the possession chain. So what happened in the 2 actions just before you did what you did, and then perhaps more critically, what happens in the 2 actions after you did what you did. There are more things that can go both right and wrong when you play in the middle of the park than if you are playing in front of either goal. And so a defensive action in front of your own goal ends up becoming really, really valuable because you prevented the most important thing to happen in a game. And on the other side, scoring a goal, especially in like an incredible position on the field, is going to be massive if you're an attacker because you're doing the most important thing for your team. But when you are trading tackles or making interceptions sort of on either side of the center circle, it's trickier to stand out. So for Narumi in less than 1,900 minutes, especially when her teammates were having their struggles, to be very good on and off the ball, it's not going to separate you all that much from, say, Sam Meza or Denise O'Sullivan when she was healthy, or Riley Jackson, another North Carolina central mid, or Shinomi. Like, there are a lot of players who are kind of concentrated in and around Narumi's area. So this is also where debate is at its most fertile, because you can't just solely rely on like where they're separated on a leaderboard. I'm giving a little bit of an edge to Narumi because I thought she held it down at times when her teammates didn't, and there is a very nice balance in her defensive profile between her on and off ball performances. And so I'm throwing it to her.
I think the thing that is really surprising to me about Narumi's numbers is she came over from North Carolina kind of as a stopgap or a fix in our assessment of like how she was going to fit in this team, and instead became like just a really critical part of a very deep team. Even toward the end of the season, it was a matter of style that kept her out of the lineup, not a matter of performance.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that she does some of the least heralded work in the league very well. Yeah. So while I'm surprised by your selection, I'm not actually that surprised. Narumi has been on, I think, everyone's radars as a really solid contributor. And the numbers sort of just kept clicking their way up.
Yeah, but if you took Meza, or if you took Ken Zadali or Jackson or O'Sullivan, I mean, even if
Howell, Flint,
but I mean, like Flint and Howell, they get dinged because their passing is so bad, whereas you're getting either neutral or positive passing from some of the other players I mentioned. But there are cases to be made for a lot of those players.
Yeah.
So
you have one more.
I'm going to go with Sam Staub.
Oh, damn it. Damn it, that was going to be my pick.
I feel like this isn't the first time in a draft I've poached Sam Staub from you.
Yeah, I just thought I could wait on it because the G Plus was just a little bit lower than other players. But man, Sam Staub.
Well, this is always why you need to go under the hood, because, yeah, G Plus overall in terms of the things that matter for a center back, namely their defense and their passing, she's pretty solidly below, say, like Emily Sams, Macy Bell, a couple other players. The thing that I like about Staub is that she is and remains one of, if not the best passing center backs in the league. And
in the world.
Yeah. And where she loses value here is her off-ball defending. And guess which team she plays for? I am not going to hold that against Sam Staub, especially given the track record. That's another thing that you always can do in your mental calculations when it comes to like weird off-ball defending data is like, well, what has this player done historically? Historically, and I'll double check this before I commit to it, I do not believe Sam Staub has been like an absolute disaster in terms of off-ball defending. And we know just how awful Chicago was. So,
unbelievably awful.
And she put up really strong on-ball defending numbers because she had to.
Yeah. For me, the thing that always separates her game is she's very, 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 very good as a defender. Yeah. She is
otherworldly,
like one of one as a left-footed center back passing.
Yeah.
She creates so much value.
Yeah.
And for a team like Chicago that basically needs offense from anywhere, she provides offense from anywhere.
Yeah. And it's actually, you know what? She's been a pretty poor off-ball defender throughout her career. And that, again, that crosses multiple coaches, multiple teammates, multiple teams. But regardless, I'm still not going to hold all that against her because she had a really strong on-ball season, and then, I guess you say, nobody passes like her from the left side.
Yeah. Hugely influential center back. I only have remaining positions you have already claimed. So I can kind of go about this in any order I like.
Sure.
And as a matter of respect, I think I'm going to go and take Olivia Moultrie now as my attacking midfielder. Because
great pick.
While Monica Matsukubo still is out there,
she's not in a midfielder.
She's just not a midfielder. She's not.
She can be, but that's not how she was used this year.
Yeah, she's sort of the other choice, and she's not a midfielder.
Yeah.
She's, if Evan takes her as his other forward, fine.
Yeah.
Great. She may or may not make that, but fine. Great. Olivia Moultrie, much like Sam Coffey, was handed the keys to the car, and nobody knew how that would go. And Olivia Moultrie was coming off of a season where what the future of Olivia Moultrie was going to be was unclear.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of this season, I think we can say she has thoroughly reclaimed her crown as one of the brightest young lights in the world, in world football. She is maybe the best string puller the U.S. has ever developed, or is on that path, and is an extraordinary across-the-board attacker.
And regardless of position, relative to position, but regardless of position, nobody was a better passer. No American was a better passer in the league this year.
It's her and Dabinia.
Yeah.
And, like, Dabinia has more than a decade on her.
Yeah.
Olivia Moultrie is doing stuff that no recently turned 20-year-old should be doing.
Why do you think Raylan Turner, Kaya Hanks, when she was healthy, and Pietra Torden even had a platform on which to build impressive attacking performances? Is because Moultrie was giving them the ball.
Yeah. Moultrie has added elements to her game, the dead ball, which we've talked about. She just, and she, like as we heard in the World 7, she's great on mic, but it's also, you can hear her ability to really like process the game. We see how quickly she processes the game.
Yeah.
And this year was just like a master class in always making the right pass.
Fingers crossed she's either in January camp or she's at NWSL Media Day so we can do an anatomy of with her.
Oh my God, absolutely. She's like top of the list for that.
Yeah.
So Olivia Moultrie, no question for me, just an incredible attacking midfield performance this season.
Love it.
Because I don't want to disrespect the position of center back. My next pick is going to be Emily Sams, who was very good last year, right there with the best defenders in the league.
Yeah.
Emily Sams, reigning NWSL Defender of the Year, put together arguably a more impressive season this year with more pressure put on her.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where sort of like what a team is versus what the performance is. Mm. Orlando was just not as front foot, not as successful an attacking team this year.
Yeah.
And normally that would hurt her ability to defend or her numbers. Emily Sams just, like whatever's going on with the national team aside, Emily Sams year in, year out is as reliable as it gets as a center back in this league.
No question. Yeah, I think saying that this year was more impressive is pretty apt because Orlando's defensive performance, generally speaking, held up, although obviously it kind of fell off a cliff for certain sections of the second half of the year, but that just meant more and more pressure was on her to perform. And you had the ever-rotating cavalcade of fullbacks that kind of continued from 2024, and you didn't have Kylie Nadanner for
long stretches.
Yeah, and so Rafaeli is nothing to sneeze at, and Rafaeli probably was always going to be the starter when she was available, and so she was when Nadanner dropped off. Sams is the only constant in that defense, so you got to give it up.
Yeah, very clearly for me. So Evan,
there's no real poaching opportunities available, which is fine. Monica Matsukubo for my final forward.
Yeah.
Slightly unbalanced line in that there's only really one naturally wide player, but I think Monica can figure it out.
I think the players that you've selected can figure it out next to each other.
Yeah.
Go on.
I mean, the prince who was promised. This is a great example of having the potential that was not really manifesting finally click into place once you just have basically enough high-level professional minutes in your legs. That's sort of what it all came down to for her. She just needed a year and a half in the NWSL to kind of have it all come together, and also to be trusted. I mean, I think Nahas and Thackeray both decided that they were going to build their offense around using her as a false nine, and I think when the attack was really clicking, it was all because of her. You know, to have her as a focal point allowed for those gifts to finally flourish. And now she's still, not yet 21, so a lot of runway yet.
She's a perfect example of the best indicator of future success as a young player is just getting minutes.
But she also wasn't getting a lot of minutes. I mean, I think she played less than 1,100 that second year, and then was kind of just slowly getting worked in when she came over in the summer of 2023. So it's not even really an argument you could make on that score. Like, it was just like...
I mean, I'll take 1,100 minutes from a 19-year-old any day. But yeah, I just mean that, like, it was unclear to us at the beginning of this year that Monica Matsukuba would emerge as one of the best attackers in the league.
Yeah.
And boy, did she.
Yeah, 2,300 minutes to be a scintillating performer.
Yeah.
Like, so happy for her. And she is 21. She turned 21 in July. So going into her fully aged 21 season, depending on where you...
Yeah, wherever you want to draw these lines.
It's always around July.
So yes, for a 19, 20-year-old.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. And if North Carolina is going to get anything done in terms of a playoff push, it's going to come down to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she has the keys to the car in the same way Moultrie does. Mm-hmm. She is the future of the North Carolina Courage if they can hold on to her.
Yep.
All right.
Let's see. So I have a fullback and a central mid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with another NWSL Best 11 honoree, and I'm going to take Kenza Dali.
Yeah, she was real good.
She was real goddamn good. And the only thing that maybe held her back was, like, there was a little bit of, like, progression value that probably, much like Hanna Lundqvist, came down to, like, what Jonas Jaideval was asking her to do and how he was asking her to, like, run the engine room when they were in possession. And so her passing's a little bit closer to average, though not negative and not even average. Like, she was positive. But then just a really well-balanced defensive profile, like when San Diego didn't have the ball. The three central mids that we've already taken off the board are the only ones who definitively produced more possession value than her. Mm-hmm. So she has also remarked how, like, she kind of felt like a player reborn this year, that she was playing the kind of football that she wanted to play. And this is not the Kenza Dali that we had been seeing in the WSL for the last couple of years. So just what a great story. I don't know if that's necessarily going to get her another look in the France setup. Probably should. Yeah, or maybe it shouldn't.
Or maybe she's just a little on the other end of the age curve.
That's it. I mean, and they like, France is not, like, bereft of, like, grafty central mids between Gayoro and, if you want to use Sandy Baltimore, tucked in, or name a bunch of players. Like, just really happy for her. And again, big reason why San Diego was able to overperform, and and because of what she had been. Was not, and given the age, like, was not a player we could have necessarily expected to have a season like this. So whether it was a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B in terms of her, in terms of the system, in terms of working with McCaskill and Corley and Lundqvist around her, it all worked. So Kenza Dali, bing, bang, boom.
A big reason why San Diego, maybe the biggest reason why San Diego was so overperformed and everyone else's expectations of them.
Especially because Cascarino had a little bit of a down year. Even though she got second 11 honors, I don't think she would have been in our second 11.
I mean, she already isn't.
Right. It's true. Yeah, we've got 22 players here.
There's that. All right. To my side, and this is tough, I'll get rid of the one that I think is very easy to get rid of immediately, and that's to just say Claudia Dickey is my keeper of the year. Few players contributed more to the overperformance of a team, not just in a single season, but ever.
It's so true.
To borrow a phrase from Evan, Claudia Dickey's working. Mm-hmm. That was truly what it was this year. She did the most important thing well.
Yeah.
She stopped shots.
Yeah.
She was asked to do an extraordinary amount of covering for a very mediocre to bad team.
Yeah.
And she carried that team far beyond where it belonged. So while Lorena also put together an incredible shot-stopping season, it's splitting hairs between these two. Claudia Dickey
facing more and tougher shots is a totally legitimate reason to take her.
Yeah, just faced brutal shots.
Yeah.
And stopped them.
Yeah.
At a higher rate than everyone else who faced brutal shots.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Claudia Dickey, pretty clear.
Great.
We'll get to that when we debate the next one. And now with my final pick, center back is so tough in this place because there are a lot of really worthy people.
But they're clustered.
Like, I could maybe move Haley Mace over to center back because Kansas City did that too. I'm not going to. I think it's worth distinguishing and recognizing players for the position they primarily played.
Yeah.
So my other pick, and I think it really comes down to what I prefer in a center back's version of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it is rarer to find a very good passing center back. You have a lot of people who are quite good at on-ball defending at this position. But I actually think in this particular instance, I have to go and take Kaylee Kurtz as my other center back.
Because I
think Kaylee Kurtz made my team last year too and surprised me. Kaylee Kurtz and Emily Sams are both perfect examples of players who may have had more notable seasons last year and this year quietly might have been better.
Yeah, I mean, Kurtz has really. Kurtz was never bad,
No,
but
Kurtz has never been anything other than an above-average pro.
But the ways in which she has sort of separated herself from the pack over these last couple of seasons is really, really quite something. And again, just an incredibly balanced center back profile in that she defends on the ball, she defends off the ball, she passes well. Like, she is the kind of the perfect player that the Nahas ball system kind of wants.
Mm-hmm. And also Thackeray ball when it came to be.
Yeah.
And I think she adapted brilliantly.
And I think that while we maybe have some questions about a lot of the expansion teams signings up to now, Denver getting her, I think is an A+.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially for probably what they paid. I mean, she's slightly on the older side, but again, she's a center back, so that matters less.
Kurt Johnson with his broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah. Love of Kaylee Kurtz. Kurt Johnson, we agree. She kind of just does everything better than, there is just something for the James Milner Memorial. James Milner's not dead, but there's just something for the 8 out of 10 at everything player. Mm-hmm. And Kaylee Kurtz is an 8 out of 10 at everything, which makes her a very unique defender.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. I got one fullback to go.
Evan has a lone fullback.
Now, it's interesting because I think we both agree who the 3 or 4 best fullbacks in the league are, and 3 of them are off the board. And the rest are, again, very tightly clustered together on overall net G+, but are expressing that in different ways. So, you've got your Giselle Thompson, who is a absolute dribbling monster.
Good player, bad team. Yeah.
Yeah, a dribbling monster who, in fairness to her, kind of wasn't bad anywhere else. It's just that she was pretty average or closer to the average in those other areas. You got Janine Sonis, who was deputized as a fullback, having spent most of her career as an attacking mid or as a winger, and was a passing and on-ball defending machine. You've got Berninia, who did a lot of off-ball defending, but maybe that's more to do with what Gotham's system was. You've got her compatriot, Rookie of the Year, Lily Reel, who was good off the ball and didn't cost you anything on passing, but really didn't stand out anywhere in a way that you could say this is definitely something that Reel was doing entirely on her own. Avery Patterson could be a choice. Pretty well balanced in the defensive profile, but wasn't necessary. And obviously another dribbling machine, which is what catches everyone's eye.
And frankly, what Houston needed to do to progress the ball at times.
If anything, yeah. I mean, that was the only option. Carrie Abello, Miss Stalwart at the back, and defending for her life at all times.
Probably the pick if she doesn't miss a huge chunk of the season, or at least right there.
Yeah. So it's a tricky challenge. I think for the fact that she was asked to do something that she had rarely had to do before, and did it in areas where the only thing really to ding her probably wasn't her fault because of the way that her team played.
Yeah, I was wondering who you were about to say, but now that I know, I think where you're going with this, love this pick.
It's Janine Sonis.
Yeah. We needed a Louisville player in here.
Yeah, just to keep our cred up.
Just to keep the cred.
Yeah, and we didn't. Neither of us took Emma Sears.
And Emma Sears was close,
Yeah,
but not the pick.
yeah.
Neither of us took
Flint.
Taylor Flint, who had a great season, not the pick for either of us. I love this pick for Janine Sonis because it is hard to reinvent yourself late in your career, and she really has.
Well, and also she was such a natural. The reason that she works in that sort of right back, wing backy thing that Yanez was asking her to play was A, she did not feel uncomfortable getting forward. B, she did not feel uncomfortable like pinging it because she's always been a lock breaker. And because of her reputation and her work ethic, like she was going to get stuck in, which the on-ball defending really demonstrates. And like whatever off-ball defending or dribbling value you lose, well, she's not going to be a ball at her feet progressive option. And also, this team was a Banshee team. So, like, are we really going to count the off-ball weaknesses when Yanez was asking you to risk getting exposed at the back in order to try and create chances?
She kind of did as well as one could reasonably expect.
If you really want to take the 30,000-foot view, she was probably basically average in her off-ball performance.
Yeah, and I think it's worth saying that, like, what was being demanded of her on ball was insane, and she did more than a credible job at it.
Yeah.
And then I take some of the off ball exchange in favor of like just the raw offensive output.
Completely,
Yeah.
especially when there were times when you weren't sure where the creation was coming from, especially when DeMello was absent. You needed somebody to make it happen, and also to like get the ball to Sears to allow Sears to do what she does. So the combination of the two of them on that right flank, I think, was incredibly valuable.
Agree.
And they got to the playoffs, so more power to them. Did not think at the start of this exercise that my final pick of this draft was going to be Janine Sonis, but there you have it. I do not feel bad about it.
No, I think that one of the surprises that I'm seeing with these rosters is we actually did diverge pretty significantly from the best 11s that the league.
Well, you know what I'm seeing is that we were not.
We made different value judgments.
Well, and also like we were not allergic to people on the wrong side of the age curve for putting up a good performance this year.
No,
whereas like the best 11 and the second 11 like are generally fairly young lists.
Yeah,
not too many players over the age of 30 on these lists.
Take that, internet that believes we're ageist. If you put together a great season, we're going to acknowledge it.
Yeah, because these are descriptive metrics. They're not necessarily the best predictive metrics, even though we sometimes try to use them that way, albeit responsibly. But for an award like this, you are asking.
It is what you did.
It is what you did, and it's difficult to sometimes separate what you did versus what your teammates helped you accomplish. But I think we're trying to do the best we can at arguing where the individual skill is being teased. So I feel very comfortable with both of these lists. Now,
let's go to the combined.
Yeah.
I'm going to start by saying, let's get the ones out of the way that I think neither of us are going to debate. So Temwa Chewinga makes our combined.
Yes. Yes.
I think we're not going to have any debate over Kayla Sharples making our combined.
Great.
I don't think there is any debate over Sam Coffey making our combined.
That's right.
Izzy Rodriguez is making our combined.
Yep. Happy with that.
Now I think there's reasonable debate kind of from here.
Well, you sure you're not on board with Staub automatically?
I am on board with Staub automatically. I'll give you both center backs.
Okay.
Fuck you.
I'm not.
No. You're right. You're right. Sam Staub does the thing.
The thing I want people to come away from this episode remembering is the combined list. And so I have no ego if it ends up that you win the argument on your pick.
No. Sam Staub does the thing that I think is most valuable as a defender, which is didn't really matter how bad your fucking team was. You were excellent.
Yep.
And she just keeps doing that.
Yep.
Plus the passing. So yeah, she's evergreen. When her passing stops being good, I'll stop voting for her.
Dickey versus Lorena. This is an argument between shot stopping difficulty versus a player who added another solidly positive component to their game. Where are you at with that?
I'll say this. I don't think Lorena could have done what Claudia Dickey did in Seattle. And I think Claudia Dickey could have possibly done what Lorena did in Kansas City. Like, I think it is
Maybe
very, very challenging. And I think we saw it in the playoffs. Like with Kansas City's, with the goals she gave up. Lorena went under pressure this year. I think Dickey maybe makes both those saves. And if it comes down, because the margins are so thin.
I think that's unfairly dinging Lorena. I think I'm happy to go with Dickey, but that's because I feel like shot stopping over all else, and she faced more difficult shots. So
yeah. It is as simple as that for me, but also like Lorena, I mean, this is a real coin flip, and if we wanted to fucking flip a coin, I actually think there's an argument in favor of Dickey just because of shot difficulty.
Yeah.
But this is a coin flip on the numbers.
Basically.
But I would probably rather have Claudia Dickey as my number one. If I had both of them.
I'm not comfortable making that judgment because it's a counterfactual that is impossible to answer. And I chafe, and maybe this is just me being contrarian, but I chafe at like what I think a lot of people just do maybe too easily, which is to say, well, you were on the best team, so I'm going to knock your individual performance. Like your individual performance is a component and probably a big reason why you were the best team, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it is, you know, it sort of goes along the lines of like my argument about Sharples earlier in the episode. So I'm not comfortable making the claim that Lorena and Dickey, if their positions were flipped, would have opposite things.
By the way,
but
this is
Dickey
not a criticism.
is perfectly fine. I am perfectly happy making Dickey our number one.
This is not a criticism of like what Lorena did. This is really a compliment to like how extraordinarily difficult what Claudia Dickey was asked to do was. And I think that Kansas City was just better designed. And that is that's like not to knock Lorena for being very good in a better designed system.
All right. So fullback. I think this is between Lundqvist and Mace. This is between your two picks, the second job.
I think this is, again, we were talking about how one separates the individual from the team here. And I think Kansas City were such an incredible regular season team.
Let's do Mace.
So I'm great with Haley Mace here.
Big fan of that.
All right, Evan.
Yes.
Where do you want to go? I think let's finish out the midfield.
Yeah.
Because I think attack has the most interesting debate.
Sure. And I think Hutton is the right call.
Interesting.
You don't think so?
No. I agree with you. I think Hutton is also the right call by the Kansas City of it all. And again, we're not like trying to throw bias to Kansas City. They just had a lot of guys who really performed.
Well, not just that, but I mean, as much as I chatted up Narumi or, you know, Kenzadali, like Hutton, I think, is still the more all-around balanced defender of that group.
Can I pitch something to you?
Okay.
I would like us to move Rose Lavelle back into the 8 and then also have Olivia Moultrie in this team. Because I think that as good as Hutton was, I actually think that what Lavelle did really defined the 8, which is where Hutton was often playing. I think between those two, Lavelle was the better player.
I am fine with that.
And I think that Moultrie at the 10 was the player.
I'm absolutely fine with that. And it's a great solve to, again, try and get two great attacking midfield players in the same side and have it work. I like that.
Yeah, and this is just and just in the NWSL this year. Yeah. I think that midfield of Coffey, Lavelle, Moultrie
is great.
Is the right one.
Yeah.
All right, Evan, let's go forwards.
So the remaining two spots and the remaining 5 candidates that we have laid out all have playing time questions except for Monica.
Yeah, I think Monica, in addition to...
I'm happy giving Monica one of the spots.
Yeah, I am too. I think in addition to just the egregious award by misassignment of position that occurred.
Yeah, we need to correct that.
We do need to correct that. Monica Matsukubo showing up is some of the battle here, and Monica Matsukubo only got better as the season went on. So yeah, she gets one of them.
So the remaining 4 all have their playing time issues. Banda, nearly 1,500 minutes, but missed the back end, the stretch run of the year. Rodman was a massive performer in the stretch run, but missed 4 months. Cooper missed significant time in the beginning of the year, but then became critical for a good chunk of it. Gift Monday rotated in, rotated out as Adrián González was trying to keep everybody's legs fresh. She had a couple of knocks, but was up and down, in and out. By NetG+, Banda's the clear winner. But again, those final 10 games plus the playoffs, do we hold that against her? I mean, what do you think?
My gut says, if in doubt here, we do go with NetG+.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just purely like, look, I don't think any of these are the wrong selection. I think that it is really, really worth noting that a diminished Barbara Banda off of last season is still better
than everybody else.
Everybody else. So my logic, my gut says,
so it's Banda or Rodman basically for you.
Yeah, Monday's out here.
Okay.
And maybe Cooper's out too. I think it's Banda. I think again, like that. I want to remind people that like seasons are long, and that just because you got hurt doesn't mean you weren't remarkable.
Well, let's see if maybe xG can offer us a separator where Banda was on 0.56 non-penalty xG per 96.
Outrageous.
Yeah. Rodman was on 0.37.
More also outrageous for a winger.
Yeah. Monday, 0.48, which is still excellent. But yes, I mean, she and Banda
less good than Banda.
She and Banda play the same position, so it's comparable there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Raylan Turner played 2,000 minutes and had a slightly better XG than Rodman did.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, let's go Banda.
I think it's also maybe worth mentioning that the expected assists leader, and it was not close.
Michelle
One
Cooper.
of the all-time like final ball seasons we've ever seen, albeit in fewer than 1,400 regular season minutes, was Michelle Cooper.
Yeah, Michelle Cooper.
And that puts her, when you put in XG and XA together, puts her second on the year, only behind Chewinga. Not to make our jobs even more difficult. But also, Banda, 0.66 XG plus XA. So she's very close to Cooper with over 100 more minutes and a much better NetG+.
And a much worse team.
And a worse team.
And a worse team around her, which is crazy to say about defending champions. And yet, everything that worked in Kansas City was a real team effort. And so much of what really hurt Banda this year was like just not having a ton around to play with and still being that dominant.
I'm going to look down the barrel and announce officially the 2025 xOG NWSL Best 11. In goal, from the Seattle Reign, Claudia Dickey.
At center back, from the Chicago Red Stars, Samantha Staub.
At center back, from the Kansas City Current, Kayla Sharples.
At fullback, from the Kansas City Current, either of the two we're about to list, Izzy Rodriguez.
From the Kansas City Current, at fullback, Haley Mace.
From the Portland Thorns, Sam Coffey.
At central midfield, from Gotham FC, Rose Lavelle.
From the Portland Thorns, Olivia Moultrie.
At left wing, from the Kansas City Current, your MVP, Temwa Chawinga.
She's definitely at least an attacker, from the North Carolina Courage, Monica Matsukubo.
And finally, at striker, from the Orlando Pride, may she rest up and get healthy, Barbara Banda.
Best 11.
We did it.
We did it. We did it. We did it. Evan, take us out.
Thank you so much for listening. We are hoping you are enjoying the xOG December to Remember sales event. And if you have not signed up for a membership, use the code xOG to get 50% off an annual subscription. Click the link in the show notes for all of that. If you haven't done so already, please follow us on social media at xOwnGoals. Doing a ton of stuff on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So please follow and subscribe to us there. If you believe we've made an own goal,
We probably have.
expectedowngoals at gmail.com. That's the letter expectedowngoals at gmail.com. We will be with you on Patreon on Friday, covering the Women's Champions League phase.
Hell yeah.
And then back with you on main feed to wrap up the holidays next week.
Bye.